We upgrading in this bit, dude. We upgrading in this bit.
That was
Welcome,
awesome.
welcome to a seventh episode of the Russo and Goodwin Show. I am your host, co-host, should I say, Russo, here with my good pal, Mr. Coach Trey. Rough week in the crib, but how are we doing today, man?
Good, man. Obviously, certainly one of those weeks where any good news can be some good news. So let's talk about college football. Let's enjoy each other's company. To be honest with you, I'm gonna go ahead and give all the credit to you, dog. I did not have anything to do with that video whatsoever. Like,
I
well,
specifically remember texting you. I'm like, you have that picture of us with Mike the Tiger?
oh my God. So fun fact, really quick, for those of you that are in here and for those that are going to watch this on replay, that little yeah, we're good. That little picture that we have right there at the very end was at one of our very good friends' weddings. And if you couldn't tell by the Crocs that Russo had on, it was it was a fun night. It was
It
a
was a
fun
great
night.
night, man. Great night. God, feels like it was a couple days ago,
I know.
almost. I don't know.
I know.
Man, we've got a very packed week 3 coming up. I'll put in the ticker down below of the updated Heisman odds. Any thoughts, I guess, before we get into any specific matchups on what you've seen so far, who you're impressed with, anything worth betting that you see on the Heisman front?
So, honestly, the good news for a lot of you is that you have not really missed out on any incredible amount of like live odds. I mean, really, if you were like a Garrett Nussmeier better, and I guess I can even just look at my own here.
It's about the same number. I mean, I
Yeah,
think
I
I had
mean,
it at 900 when I bet mine.
yeah, it's been 8 or 900. It's been 8 or 900 since since the jump here. So I'd say honestly, like if the good news for you is if you're not an early Heisman better, you really haven't lost any time. You could bet right now, and it'll be the same things you got probably back in June or
Yeah.
July.
I mean, I think it'll be like that probably until at least the halfway point of the season.
It depends on who pulls away. I mean, if there's a shout out T Pat, um, it depends on what the games do. Like for example, like I think if, and this is just an example of someone that you could get maybe some distant odds on now that you won't maybe be able to get after the game if they win, is maybe like a Joey Aguilar. Like if you wanted to get 400 to 1 or 40 to 1 on him, I think it's like 4,000 right now. Like if you wanted to get him and just have like a flyer on someone that's going to be on a good football team, if they beat Georgia, like who else is going to stop them? Better than maybe we thought offensively. That offensive line looks nasty. And Heupel obviously knows what he's doing. So I mean, I guess that's maybe like a good example, right, of one that'll like probably be the best price you can get if they win this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got time. I think the odds will probably move a little bit depending on games like Nuss, Sellers, mm, Gunnar Stockton, guys that are playing big games this weekend. It'll probably be a little bit more impactful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to me, I think Moneyline Mateer has stood out um, as probably the most impressive on the field. I think if you're talking about good value, obviously you have Nuss who hasn't turned it on yet. Lenoris, who if we're going off of like predicted records in the future, could be tough. Carson Beck and Gunnar Stockton, though, those were two that caught my eye just for the fact that their teams are probably going to end up with very good records. They're going to probably be both in the playoff, and I think both have the chance to come out of here with only 1 or 2 losses. And I think your record where you end up has a huge impact, especially in a field that really hasn't had someone stand out as much. Like Jaden Daniels, I know the team had lost a few games, but he was the clear guy. Like it wasn't very close. So so yeah, man, I think those two names, Gunnar Stockton and yeah,
The
uh,
you're not, I guess,
Carson Beck.
The one so Carson Beck, for those of you that don't remember, obviously quarterback Georgia makes the jump over to Miami. I'm not
Not buying the stock.
if I mean I'm not buying the stock. I'm just saying that if other teams have as good a season as them, they're going to get voted in over him because Miami is going to be winning because of defense. But honestly, I could probably say that same thing about LSU right now. So I mean, I'm not
Well,
really.
yeah, I think the record is definitely a plus, and I think with him, and both him and Gunner have good storylines, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I think, hey, the old man left the SEC to go to Miami, and this is like his redemption story. Gunner, who is replacing that old man, and Gunner and Carson Beck, and then obviously you have the Manning legacy in here with Arch, who I imagine will probably be in the conversation for most of this season. And then I think, like I said, I think it's nuts is to lose right now, though. I think the team has something special brewing, and he just has to put it together. And we can really segue into since we haven't really discussed any of it yet. What were your thoughts, just quickly, on LSU's performance? I guess this is the good thing about doing solo shows. We really don't talk together about
I know.
our thoughts. Not really debating anything. I think we're probably on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
And break the chalk yesterday, I think my narrative was the whole spew about Florida having their back against the wall and it's a must-win game. I'm not buying into it as much because I would argue LSU's maybe in the same boat as far as, hey, they had a pretty lackluster performance as well. They didn't lose, but like Florida's back against the wall. I mean, if you look at that schedule, I mean, you can't tell me this is a must-win. Like they're not going to be in the conversation.
Every single one
like,
is. Everyone is.
Yeah, but it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so like to me, it's less relevant because with how difficult that schedule is, I just don't see them being in the picture at the end of this. Obviously, this could boost them, to more of a chance. Obviously, I mean, it's a big game. It's always going to be a close game, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't buy the narrative as much. I think a lot of people want to use it because it's just low hanging fruit. But I think we have a lot more to prove as well. After our performance from week 2.
So took me on a whirlwind there.
Yeah.
So Florida, yes, every game is a must-win game right now, especially whenever you're being made out to have your name on the chopping block. And I'm not gonna say that I'm overly shocked about it, but I'm still a bit, and we'll get to this. I'm certain at some point in the show when it comes to that football game, but I'm kind of waiting for the things about their team that were supposed to be dominant. You're really hoping don't become dominant this weekend, right? You're waiting for the Florida receivers to get, separation from these DBs. Like they haven't yet. You're waiting for DJ Lagway to throw the ball down the field. He hasn't yet, really. He's literally thrown it of 30 yards or more twice this year. Now, again, that's only 2 weeks, and I get that. And I don't think you really needed to throw the ball deep to beat, LIU or whoever they played in week 1. But you could have used it last week, and you didn't. You had conservative play calling, and you got beat at home to an in-state school. And that's unacceptable. And I don't care that it's another Power 4 in-state school. It's an in-state school, and that's unacceptable at Florida. So he's also 500. He is, 500 in coaching in his years at Florida so far. However,
Yeah.
it's the road victories that he doesn't really have. I believe he's won on the road in the SEC. Was it 4 times since he's been in the league? I think it's 4 road wins, and it might not even just be SEC. That might just be in general. And you're hoping at LSU that that doesn't happen to you this week. Now, again, it's a touchdown and a half, 7.5 points. I like Florida in the spread as it pertains to LSU for the sake of having the conversation. If you didn't catching up with Coach from Tuesday night, I strongly advised you to give that a listen. It's about a half-hour show, kind of dug deep on what exactly we saw and how kind of plays out going into the week with LSU mainly. I think it was lackluster. I think that everyone had, very little attention to detail. We all have those weeks in which we um shout out to my boy Nick, man. He's in this thing right now. He's got a notification bell on, baby. Sorry, I just got the text on my watch. I had to shout him out really quick. That's my dog, and I love him. But low, like we all have those days at work, man, where you just kind of like you look up and it's 5:30 and you made it home and you're like, wow, I didn't do anything significant today. And it's kind of like how that game felt. It kind of felt like, like a really armchair lazy effort from everybody. And if a college football coach that just pisses you off and reddens your behind in the nastiest of ways, and I think the only way to get that taste out of your mouth and that red out of your behind is to go take it out on somebody like a non-inferior opponent like Florida. Like, this is what you came here for. So I was very, very unimpressed and very unenthusiastic about the game last week, and even having been there, I think Tiger Stadium's ready for what's coming.
No, yeah.
I think they're ready, dog.
I watched the tape. I rewatched both games, and I would say very comparable performances. I think what you just described was what happened with Florida as well. Uh, Balls down the field didn't really come at a premium. Uh, Lots of short runs, lots of forced runs, and I will say one person that did stand out, Warren Sapp's son, DJ. Dude's a freak.
Big. He's big now.
Big worry this weekend with him
He's
because
not
he
the
was
only
in the
one.
backfield. I mean, they've got a very good D line. I'll say
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm.
I think this will segue to my point is like, and we talked about this, we've been talking about this for the last season. It's just, we've got to have success on the ground. I don't know how you do it. Listening to your episode, you were like, the schemes and how you do it are too predictable right now. And I would agree with that. I think a big thing that I've been a proponent of the last few weeks and the last weeks of the season is, as much as I hate to say it, and it's a danger, you've got to get Nuss rolling somehow. You remember in the Clemson game, they called a read option for him. They had
And it
one play
worked.
where he kept, and it worked. You've got to mix that in. And I hate it because, your quarterback can get hurt doing that. He's vulnerable. He's not a runner, right? Like, he's not – that's not his primary skill, right? But that is going – by itself is going to open up the avenue. And if you have to call that at least 2 or 3 times and just to show it, like, if it doesn't really work and it gets blown up in your face, that's fine, but you have to show something. And on that Nick Anderson touchdown against LA Tech, the Red Sea parted, dude. And I was like, run! I was like, yo, run the ball! And then he threw it, and that's good. It was a great throw. It was a long play, but like, that's against LA Tech. Like, against other skilled defenses, that's going to piss me off if you don't run that ball in because they gave you the touchdown on the ground, but you forced it was a pretty impressive throw. So to me, I think you have to get Nuss involved, whether that's on the, designed plays for him or he's got to use it as a threat in some fashion when the pocket breaks down and no one's home, so.
We talked about it on the show. So we were talking about getting Chris Hilton involved, and on the play where Chris goes to the back of the end zone and then just kind of like skirts along the back of the end zone and tries, like, he literally has to come up and over the defender to try to get the ball. And it was because Garrett was trying to force the ball to him. Dude, it was him in the like East Baton Rouge Parish, West Baton Rouge Parish, and then Iberville, and then the end zone. He had like nobody stopping him from like. Now, was Garrett going to get beat to the end? Like, was someone in a defensive back going to beat him towards? Obviously, he was not going to make it to the end zone, but he literally had all day, a year, and there was no one going to stop him. But he didn't want it. He wanted to make the play down the field, and so that's a little bit of that old Garrett that we really saw him get rid of from last year. And I will strongly advise anybody that wants to go back to watch that Clemson game on the read option. he had the opportunity to check out of it and go and do something else. He stayed with it. And I think, okay, so if I can have a couple minutes here,
Go on.
a lot of the play calling gets blamed on Joe Sloan. Okay. And that's the offensive coordinator. And I'm certainly okay with blaming the person who is calling the plays. Okay. But we have to also have an even-handed share of admitting that you are giving your quarterback, much like you did in 2019, much like you did in 2022 and 2023, more 23 than 22 because they knew what Jaden was. You are giving your quarterback the ability to change the play and get out of what you call. Not every single down. Like sometimes it's whenever, like when you, because you see Garrett doesn't have ear holes. For those of you that don't know this, like there's no ear holes in Garrett's helmet. They're closed in it, so he could hear. And there's a speaker in there for him to be able to hear what Joe Sloan is giving him for the play. So when you hear him do this little situation here, there are some times in which Joe is saying, "Hey, we're gonna call this, and you better not check out of that, or you're definitely running bleachers on Monday." Like. And sometimes Garrett will flip you the bird, and we're going deep anyway, and we're going to throw the ball. I don't want to run the ball. Like I'm not going to run dive. I'm not running counter. Like I want to throw the ball down the field to Aaron Anderson or whoever, Barry and Brown, whatever. So anyway, I do think that there needs to be an even-handed discussion as it relates to the play calling, because sometimes you can see the play get checked into and out of something. Like the play where Trey'Dez Green got hurt. Did you notice that half the line is doing one thing and the other half of the line is doing the other thing? They didn't know what the hell they were doing. It feels like that play was not clear on all fronts and no one really knew what they were doing. First and foremost, why the hell is Trey'Dez Green in the game in the fourth quarter against La Tech? Number two, why is he in the game in the fourth quarter against La Tech and blocking? You know what I'm saying? Get his big ass running down the field and throw him the ball. Like he's 7'5" and 3/4. Like let him go and catch passes down the field. I understand he needs to block so that they don't know that he's catching passes every time. But for Jesus, Mary, and the wise men, can we please stop having your freak show tight end blocking, which he's not great at on a play that doesn't understand? And if you don't know what the play is, give me one of these. You feel me? Because now he's out for several weeks. And the T on that is that he is likely going to try to be back for Ole Miss. That's what they want from him. Braylon Moore apparently is good to go. So again, I say all that to say,
was there an update on that today?
Yes. Brian Kelly did meet with the press and did go to the podium and say that Braylon Moore was, quote, probable, took all the snaps with the first team, and it looked like he's going to go. And that's a big deal considering, what I guess we're going to shovel into our next beat here. For those of you that missed it on Catching Up with Coach, if you guys don't know who number 88 is for Florida, his name is Caleb Banks, and he is a space-eating freak and is absolutely going to be a problem for whoever is in the middle of that offensive line. And you cannot allow him to wreck the game, and he is going to play. He's been injured. He's been dealing with some things, but he is going to play. He is going to play. So you got to get the hell up out of the way.
If Pyburn gets a sack, that'd be sick.
Pyburn going to get a sack versus his old team. There ain't nobody that this game means more to than Jackson Pyburn.
And you've got what's his name, Ja'Cory Jackson playing.
Jakeem Jackson. He'll probably come in whenever there's need, but I think they've got.
So he's like fourth on the depth chart?
Yeah, so you'll have DJ Pickett that looks like the freshman playing in that third role along with Stamps.
I think you're gonna see a lot of throws.
So is PJ Woodland.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be because we just really haven't seen that much of targets towards him.
I'd never miss Catching Up with Coach. Big shout out to T-Pat there. Catching Up with Coach is fun, man. But again, we're both unimpressed with the game last weekend, right? We're looking forward to the game this week, and we obviously think there's a great chance that Florida covers that game, and we like the under there. And then
the game goes way under.
It feels like the kind of game where you can break the back of a football team 3 games into a season, and I don't think that LSU wants to miss the opportunity to do that because they don't like the underdog.
This is not the game to lose, especially after beating Clemson. You kind of bought yourself some time, right? You've got Ole Miss and Bama and A&M and
South Carolina
and Vanderbilt. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not the game to waste. You've got to win this game. So
No.
miss me with the must win for Florida. It is a must win for LSU too. So.
It is, and speaking of Clemson, we can end the show on LSU if you'd like, because we certainly want to get to like our last bit of thoughts on that. So like getting into Clemson, there's a big game happening with Clemson. They play Georgia Tech. I don't know how much time you want to spend on this. I don't know if this is going to make it into your plays, but what do you think?
For the ladder challenge, we took Clemson plus 7.5. Obviously, it's a ladder challenge, and there were several
You have to
plays, but
fix
that
it a
was
little bit. It's come down, dude. It's 3.5.
yeah. I mean, it's. I think Haynes King is going to play. That's probably the
Mm-hmm.
expectation, but it's still not. He still listed as questionable.
I
This is a huge game for Clemson
I know.
because they're in the same boat minus they have a loss as LSU. So like they're in the same boat. I wouldn't say they're in the same boat as Florida because they're in the ACC and the schedule is not as daunting going there. And the path to the ACC championship is very wide open, even given Florida State's unexpected presence there and Miami's, I guess, technically expected presence. So this is a must-win game, and this is one of those games where you're going to point to the schedule and be like this is a game they need to dominate. So like they have not played a good first half, in my opinion, in either game. I think they were managing through the LSU game. Second half against us was bad, and the second half against Troy was rewarding because Jesus, you looked at the score and it was 0-16.
We got nervous. We got a little bit nervous.
I messaged Ben specifically in our group, and I was like, I don't feel as good about this LSU team going into when you see the halftime score. It was
Those games are
concerning.
always sleepy, man. Those games are so sleepy,
The second week is always sleepy. That is fair. It's
especially
just
when you start like that. I know.
16
I know.
bad look. So I think this is a huge game for Dabo, because the hot seat will come on if he loses this game. I'm just gonna say it.
What else are they? What else are they to get over there? Like you're not going to get anything better than him there.
I get it, but I think there will be fatigue of
Okay.
what has it been since 2019 since they've been in the championship game?
I mean I've got I've got one for you.
Did they win in 2020 or was that 2018?
No, 20 they won before that because
Okay,
Bama
yeah,
won with the COVID team the next year.
yeah. GT money line, man. Look, I think Trey was a huge advocate for this GT team.
I don't think I
Um,
put this win in that over, but okay.
You did not, but you were a big advocate for the season total. I specifically said this. I'm with you, but like I'm not giving you this game.
Yeah, sure.
But it's very realistic. Um,
It's
I
not
can
that
give
crazy.
you I can give you where the money is here, public wise, because this game's at 11 Central Standard Time, right? Yeah. So the money, the bet percentage for is on Clemson, and the
Okay.
tickets are on Clemson.
I mean, that
So
makes sense, right?
but this might be your classic like reversal line movement because this game has gone towards Georgia Tech, right? Because I'm pretty sure this game opened at like 6 or 7.5. So the fact that
Okay.
all the money and the tickets are both with Clemson and the line keeps moving towards Georgia Tech means there's reverse movement, which means the sharps are on Georgia Tech. I mean, this is just a public site, so obviously it's not taking into account fully, but I mean, these trends are suggesting that. So, yeah, man, give me Clemson on the money line. I'm not a huge fan of any sense with a spread here, because I could see this being a statement game for Clemson, but you never know. So we took the points with Clemson on an alt spread. Hopefully, regardless, they cover that. Regardless of what happens. How's Notre Dame? I mean,
I kind of
another
like him
big
this week.
another big game. Texas A&M rematch from last year going to Notre Dame. UTSA had 200 rush yards on A&M. So what do you think is going to happen when you get Notre Dame's system in there? I think it could be, in my opinion, a low scoring game um, that Notre Dame just has to win. I think they'll probably will probably be within the cover range here. I think it's what, like 4.5, 4.5 or 5.5, I believe. So that is where I stand with Notre Dame. Was I impressed with CJ Carr against Miami? Yes. I think he came out a little slow, picked it up in the second half, and made that game close. We haven't seen enough from Miami to know if they're a juggernaut or not, but they're certainly good. A&M has looked mediocre, in my opinion. I think they're solid. I think we know what they are. They've got some good pieces on that offense. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be a tough. Yeah, unders for sure. Yeah, this weekend, huge fan of the unders. The only game I'm not a fan of the under is South Carolina and Vanderbilt. That is one game where I do love the over. I do think Vanderbilt's offense is very solid this season. We have comparable games on the schedule, and you hate doing it, but you love looking at the comparisons. Both teams played Virginia Tech, and one team looked very good against them compared to the other. And that was last week with Vanderbilt beating the snot out of Virginia Tech on their home turf. When you had Virginia Tech on a neutral field, you had South Carolina struggle with them. I think South Carolina's had a special teams touchdown in both games. They've had a punt return touchdown. So obviously they are very dangerous, both on offense and special teams. But man, what a game! Like, that's probably my second most exciting game of the week. Obviously, I know there is Georgia and Tennessee, and I think we can segue to that game being that, I mean, who do you trust more? Do you trust Aguilar? Do you trust Stockton? Is it coming down to quarterback play? Is quarterback play going to be the edge?
Dude.
I don't know. I think we differ on this game because you like the balls and the points. I like Georgia. I like Georgia. We differ here, and I think it's going to be interesting because I don't think Tennessee's been tested as much. Neither team has really been tested, right? I think both teams. Your expectations for Tennessee were low, I would imagine, right? At least for me, coming out of the saga from the offseason, and they exceed that and laid it on Syracuse. So, like, they have the most impressive win out of the two teams. I just haven't seen anything from Georgia that suggests they're in trouble in this game.
They Tennessee's offensive line looks like somebody just like stole their work iPad. Like, there's nothing you can do about it, but they're pissed off no matter what. And they have to go to work, and they don't get a work excuse for not having it. Like, that's how pissed off they look. Like, it is disgusting for me to even attempt at saying what I'm about to say. But here it comes. It would not shock me if Georgia tried to go to go point for point. And that is not a Georgia football scheme. Georgia football scheme is play defense, keep you close in a phone booth, and we're going to lean on you and run the football, and then the fourth quarter we're going to pull away. And Tennessee is, we're going to use every blade of grass and maybe even more than that, and we're going to make you exhausted to where in the fourth quarter you want to vomit. You don't want to play anymore. And I don't know, man. I kind of like Tennessee in this spot. It really wouldn't shock me. Obviously, what did we say the line was? 4.5 at this point. It really wouldn't shock me to see that Georgia would win. But I don't think it's one of those games where Tennessee just gets pushed around. I just don't see that.
We'll see, man. I think we had an error on my ticker. I had Clemson as the plus 4.5. That's not what we want on here. So
no,
like, oh, yeah.
Definitely not. There was another one on there that we talked about before the show even started, and I was like, "What?"
Look, things happen. Things
Hey
happen, dude.
now. Hey now.
Um,
Nobody's
I
perfect.
shout out Dylan Sampson,
Big time.
Louisiana native and Tennessee alum from last year. 20 carries. Obviously, it was with the Browns, but 20 carries in your debut as a rookie is not bad work. That's going to be a good game. It will be dangerous for Georgia if they get into that scenario, and that it's not hard to get into that scenario with a team like Tennessee, who, like you said, balls to the wall, spread you wide, and no pause. So I think Georgia is going to stick to the game plan and do the job. We differ. We're going to see what happens. That's why we love this sport. That's why we love. You know, we will disagree, and it's not the end of the world though. So,
No, and because we agree on the next two, I think.
where are we going with this? Are we going with
South Florida covering 17 and a
South
half at
Florida? South
Miami.
Florida. So South Florida, their quarterback is basically a running back, and they've got a receiver they call Mini Calvin Johnson, number 11 Singleton, I believe is his name, because I watched the highlights. I watched the tape on that for the game. That quarterback's good. I think his name's Brown. Last name's Brown. They're good. I think they're serviceable enough to cover here. And I mean, look, why not believe that? I mean, what have they shown you on tape that indicates they're going to have um a chance to lose by more than 3 touchdowns?
What are you,
Boise
what are you,
State. Go
what
on.
are you more confident in? South Florida coming in to cover at Miami, the 17 and a half, or Arkansas coming in to Oxford and covering 6.5?
Definitely South Florida.
Okay.
I haven't had that Ole Miss game on my radar, and I'm just gonna say this. It's a big game. It is a big game. Yes, I overlooked it. Ole Miss just hasn't. I, I don't know how to say this. I'm just not excited. Like, they don't have that spark. I think that you're used to seeing with Lane Kiffin's teams over the last 5 years, where like they were kind of a threat. You know. Now, can Ole Miss, you know, whip any team in the SEC? Sure. I haven't had any excitement. I watched a little bit of that Kentucky game, and it was pretty close for the most part. I mean,
Yeah.
um, for a Kentucky team that we were very down on, and I'm sure a lot of others were too. Arkansas's back is against the wall for Mr. Pittman, right? So, like, unlike Billy Napier, who is on the hot seat, but like his fate won't be sealed. You never know. It probably will be if they suck, but Pittman, his fate will be sealed as far as a coaching standpoint if they lose certain games. And this is a winnable game for them. I think you've got to win this game.
So rapid fire here so that everybody's on the same page. Clemson 3.5. You think Georgia wins? And
Yeah,
obviously they cover.
I think Georgia covers. Yeah,
Okay. South Florida covers a 17 and a half. Arkansas covers a 6.5. Vandy on the road at South Carolina 3.5. You think Vandy wins outright?
and outright.
God, that
Love
would be
Vandy.
so hot for my Vandy win total over. Thank you every
I
year.
I love Vandy, man.
Texas A&M going to Notre Dame 6.5
I've got Notre Dame.
and under 50.5, right?
I love the under in that game.
And then the
And
coup de
Florida
grace.
covering.
And you think
Yeah,
Florida
Florida
covers a
covering.
7.5?
And
Okay,
look,
so
like we're shooting it straight. I mean, we're not
why
we're
am I shooting
realistic
straight at
homers.
me?
We're realistic homers. Straight shooter, Duck
Come
Club.
on
Shout
now.
out, dude. Always gotta shout out them.
Come on now. Shout out to my advocates over at Web Western. If you guys are not familiar with Web Western, it is a straight shooter company, a company that prides themselves on shooting you straight, much like we do with our bets. If you like to get some merch, they're actually getting into a new warehouse this week. Shout out to the fellas over there and the gals over at Web Western. We're getting the new warehouse, getting a little upgrade up. So if you guys are check out their website, WEBBWestern.com. If you want to go and get some merch or a hat, shirt, jacket, hoodie, whatever the case may be, hit me up in the DMs. I'll get you a little discount code on there for you. But shout out to
Absolutely.
them.
Absolutely. And we finally hit our 60th subscriber. So hell yeah. Um always good to cross some milestones. So we're gonna attempt to keep going. So definitely do not forget to like and subscribe. Any last thoughts before we leave here on the game?
Listen, okay. So for those of you that are still here, we're incredibly excited to have you here, obviously. But this is the one thing that I do want to say before we, you know, I I do want to say I think that this football game that you're going to see with LSU and Florida is going to go one of two ways. The number one way that it can go is that you've got two teams that are one's desperate and one hates you. You've got one defense that really wants to try and get any kind of takeaway, any kind of advantage, anything they can get to slow you down and get you off speed. And the other just wants to come after your behind every single play. It's not hard to know who I'm talking about. If you're an LSU football team, this is your chance to go out and cement what it is that we thought week one, because now everybody that was on your side in week one is now talking crazy about you in week two because you couldn't follow it up against an in-state team. So go out and take it. Take this opportunity to go out and be the best version of yourself for 4 quarters and for 60 minutes, because I can personally tell you that I'm going to be in attendance. I'm going to be incredibly hydrated for this game, and I'm incredibly excited to see hopefully a good football game. And I swear to God and for all that is holy, if I sit through 4 quarters of that football game and we do not get Chris Hilton involved, I'm going to have a very, very difficult conversation with the crowd on catching up with coach the following week on what exactly it is that they want to do with him. Because all spring and summer long, you were using him to get over and on top of pause the defense. And I'm not trying to say that he is the only way that you can win, but you must get him involved if you want to continue to make this offense be what it is. You've spent the last few years having your defense not be able to catch up with your offense, and now you've done a 180. So I really need them to get creative and be consistent in performance as it pertains to throwing the ball down the field, bro, and getting these playmakers in space, and not just one or two, literally all of them. You've got like 30. Use them. Okay. You don't have a trade as Green this game. So what can Bauer Sharp give you? What can Donovan Green give you in pass pro? Maybe he fakes a block and goes out for a pass. That was like a 4 and 5 star, talent that went to Texas A&M, and he transferred over to you, and he's 260. Get his big behind out there into space. Like, get creative here. Make this easy on yourself, because you are at home. You have the ability to go out and take firm control of this game. And my last question before I let you respond to that is, if Brian Kelly wins the coin toss, what is he doing with the ball?
Probably probably taking it. Offense.
You
Should
wouldn't want to
defer
put that
though.
defense on the field?
I mean I would, but Brian
You
I
asked
mean
me
I
what he would.
think
I asked you what he would do, so I feel you. All right.
I
Thoughts?
mean I think you've got to get out of last year's mindset, you know. Last year you're definitely taking the ball. So no, you definitely your defense is your asset. Your defense will keep you in this game regardless of what the offense does. And I think let's just see Nuss roll out and at least attempt a couple of runs. If we do that, I think that opens up the offense. I think that opens up the passes downfield. And I think that even opens up the run game for your backs. So I've got LSU winning 24-20. So if you want to put the correct score on that, be my guest. I think LSU wins a hard fought game. It's going to be close. There's not going to be a blowout, in my opinion. If there is, I hope it's for the home team. And man, check out. I put the X handle down here at Russo and Goodwin. Probably will have a player prop parlay or two because those lines are coming in. So we will have some fun plays on there for you as well. So if you're interested in those, hit us up. And otherwise, man, um, any last words from you before we
Incredibly
go tie this
excited,
one up?
dude. Incredibly excited. Um, just do want to say that we are incredibly excited to have you all here. Thank you for all the support and the love, all the nice words, all the nice comments, the thumbs ups, notification bells. Thank you guys for everything that you've been giving us, and we can't wait to keep doing it. And I love doing this. I get incredibly jacked about seeing, people wanting to learn a little bit more about you and I, and then just the game of college football, and then certainly our team down I-10, but just in general as it relates to the SEC, the Big 10, the Big 12, the ACC. What's left of the Pac-12 or the Pac-2, whatever it is. Like, it's college football, and it's the most beautiful game on earth. So we're incredibly excited to talk about it here each and every week, and even more excited that you guys want to listen to it. So thank you for that.
All right. Well, that does it for us. Check out Catching Up with Coach on Tuesday, and
Breaking the chalk on Wednesday.
Oh yeah, breaking the chalk, man. Look, and look, you're gonna laugh, but people that are staying here, feel free to get hyped to this. Y'all have a good night.